Plainclothes security personnel and mounted security cameras monitor tourists as they visit Tiananmen Gate in Beijing on Friday, the 32nd anniversary of a deadly crackdown on pro-democracy protests. The Associated PressChina on Friday issued a rare acknowledgement of the landmark massacre at Tiananmen Square 32 years ago, saying it successfully aborted an attempted revolution akin to uprisings in Eastern Europe and that it has been vindicated by its subsequent economic progress. More than 3 decades have passed by. Facts speak louder than words, read an op-ed in the state-run English-language Global Times, considered a mouthpiece for the Chinese Communist Party. The brazen statements represent an escalation in how Beijing acknowledges its history of violent crackdowns against civil dissent. And they provide an indication that fears the country's communist leaders previously held about their ability to silence dissent are now waning. For decades, China refused to acknowledge and actively censored any mention of the student-led uprising that took place in the central square in the middle of Beijing. That policy endures domestically and has been seen this week through aggressive crackdowns against vigils marking the Tiananmen protests in Hong Kong, over which China increasingly exerts autocratic control. Chinese language media continues to censor any mention of the massacre. Chinese officials first publicly referenced the protests for the 30th anniversary in 2019, saying the massacre represented a vaccination against potential turmoil. Friday's statements, however, show Beijing is willing to act more forcefully in asserting its interpretation of history and challenging the penetration of Western ideology into its society. The message is the same as it was at the time: stability is paramount, and, without it, China cannot modernize, says Joseph Torigian, a professor at American University's School of International Service and an author of multiple publications on the Tiananmen protests. The article fits in with other recent themes in Chinese propaganda in the run-up to the 100th anniversary, which casts the CCP's history in a positive light meant to justify its legitimacy. The Daily Lives of China's Uyghurs Friday's post claims China has, since the massacre, embarked on a socialist path with Chinese characteristics and made remarkable progress that amazed the world. It cited China's growth in gross domestic product and claimed it leapfrogged the world's second biggest economy, the US, saying its middle classes are rising and, it claims, absolute poverty has been eliminated. While at the same time, the world is full of chaos, with color revolutions destroying many countries, according to the article, referencing similar uprisings at the time as the Soviet Union collapsed. All this has made Chinese people see clearly that the path China has chosen is correct.